Is it just me, or has African music become more and more explicit?
I can be a beast and I can be a fucking G.
Growing up around African music, I didn't even notice that they were talking about adult themes. I mean, my experience of African music and dance was being at Thanksgiving, being at weddings, and seeing my parents listen to Cameroon music with my aunties and my uncles, and people dancing, and it's a vibe. African music and dance was so associated with family dynamics and family gatherings, so it felt so wholesome. Growing up, I always saw hip hop as the more swaggy, explicit expression. Now, I don't know if it was because I was a kid and I didn't know what adult themes were, because when I listened to hip hop and R&B, like, I definitely knew what they were referencing. But I never got that feeling with African music. And I remember when there was a pivot and it became so much more close to what I would see in hip hop videos and R&B music videos. The content in African music and African dance always felt so wholesome. It didn't feel like it was talking about anything other than just having fun and enjoying life. If African music was addressing more adult themes, it was definitely more coded than what I was experiencing when I would listen to hip hop or R&B. When I hear newer Afro artists today, I feel that the adult theme is so much more prevalent. Now, I will say, I still think that African music, Afrobeats, Afropop still is a little bit more coded than our Black American counterparts or our Caribbean counterparts, for sure. But I think it's becoming more and more prevalent and more obvious that we are addressing adult themes. I remember when that shift happened for me. I remember this song, Coller la Petite, which was a Cameroonian song where it is extremely explicit, and if it came out today, it would be very problematic, but it was just so explicit. And I remember being like, wait a minute, this sounds like the type of music I would listen to with my family, but the words are not it. And I also remember the shift with seeing Wizkid videos. I think it was around 2015, 2014, seeing those Nigerian artists particularly bringing on women that were wearing thongs, that were wearing very minimal clothing. I remember like the shock, because I had never seen Africa depicted in that way. The last one that really shook me was when I saw Burna Boy come out. I felt like his image showed me that Africa has fully pivoted in terms of its presentation to the world. So the question is, has African music changed, or has the audience's taste changed? That's a really tricky question. I believe that a little bit of both is true. African music has definitely evolved and has become more global. We have to understand that Africans have been influenced for generations by what has been going on in the Caribbean and what has been going on in Black America. I mean, let's face it, the global superstars are usually Black American hip hop, pop, and R&B artists. And so that influence was always coming in, but it wasn't always coming out. We could hear it when it came to the Jamaican influence, but I think the presentation of the hip hop artist or the pop star sensation look was not as prevalent. Now, has the audience taste changed? Maybe. Everybody says that sex sells, so maybe that's what the audience wants. And as Africa's opening to the world, it needs to have a more global approach, like we talked in our last video. And maybe the world wants more sex, and so that's what African music is aligning itself to. But I do think that some of us maybe miss the days where African music was just a tad bit more wholesome. I love the global dimension that Afrobeats and Afropop and African music is taking, but I also think that one thing that made Afrobeats and Afropop so awesome was our ability to talk about adult themes in a way that was so happy and joyful and energetic, to where it was humoristic, because you can understand what's going on, but it's coded. And I felt like it just made it so approachable, and it gave us that wholesome content feel. I think a lot of that is gone now. And is that stripping Afrobeats and Afropop and African music from what made it so special in the beginning to just look like everybody else. I think that as we are moving towards a more explicit presentation and sound, we may be losing our African culture. Now, I'm not saying that we can't be sexy and we can't be swaggy and we can't give off that vim, but I feel like what made African music so special, again, I know I'm generalizing, but Afrobeats and Afropop so special was its way of addressing these adult themes in ways that were so subtle and tasteful. We all know what Davido is talking about when he's speaking about the girl's tomato. But the way it's tastefully embedded in the song with you with Omale just captures that Afro essence. We are definitely talking about adult themes here, but we're doing it in a way that's coded and subtle and funny, and it's almost like a bar that you know what is being said, but not everybody does. I remember always loving to play Afrobeats. It didn't matter who was around. I knew that my parents wouldn't understand what they were saying, so I knew I could play whatever music. But some of hip-hop or R&B, it is so explicit. My parents' ears would definitely perk up. So what do you think? Am I tripping? Is that something that's special to African cultures? Should we preserve that little subtle act, return to our roots, and just continue to enjoy sweetly now? Or should we be more explicit like the rest of the world? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.